What is a mule? Isn't it a donkey? Not in sprint car racing. In this video, not only will I show you what's inside a mule, but thanks to Australia's premier sprint car mule manufacturers, Elevate, I'll show you how and why they take them from looking like this to this. Hey everyone, are you in business for yourself? Maybe you own and run a transport business and are eyeing off a new truck or trailer, or maybe you're a tradesman needing another essential tool. Well, here's a game changer for you. Check out Credit One Equipment Finance. They are Australia's top choice for financing for good reason. Whether it's transport, construction, farming, or any trade, Credit One Equipment Finance is perfect for your business. No matter your industry or equipment needs, Credit One Equipment Finance is your go-to solution. They understand that growing your business means having the right equipment and tools, which often requires substantial investment. With Credit One's diverse finance options, you can acquire your excavator, van, truck, crane, or whatever your job demands. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Check out over 1,800 glowing 5-star reviews on Google. That's right, 1,800 and counting. For competitive rates and solutions that beat the banks, and for lightning fast loan approvals, visit www.creditoneequipmentfinance.com.au or click the link in the video description below. Empower your business today with Credit One Equipment Finance. Just like sprint car trailers, mules are one of the coolest elements of any race team. When mules were first introduced, they were sort of seen as overkill for a sprint car racing operation. Like, why not just have a toolbox and a four-wheeler? Now, years later, they're seen as necessity for any serious team. Some teams just use quads, and some add bits to their quads, and some have these homemade setups, but the big teams do it properly. We should probably start with answering, what is a mule? In sprint car racing terms, a mule is a team's toolbox. Not just that, but it is also used to transport crew to and from the track. It pushes the car around, can even start the car if needed, and the mule carries spare parts, which is especially important when it comes to the work area or an open red light situation. So you might be wondering, why is it called a mule, and where does the name come from? In case you didn't know, the word mule is used for the hybrid between a donkey and a horse. It's known as a work animal. As the internet says, a mule is used to carry loads, pull carts, and transport people. And when you think about it, it's the perfect name for this thing. A sprint car racing mule does pretty much the same thing. It carries a bunch of equipment, pushes the cars around, and the crew take a ride along the way. But the sprint car racing industry didn't come up with the name. As Jai from Elevate explains, the term mule comes from the manufacturer.
A mule is, the actual word mule, this is a Kawasaki, and the model of it is mule. So mule is a transporter.
Mules have to be one of my favorite things about a race team. A well-presented and organized mule is like a luxury car or a fashion statement. But beyond that, it means that your team can efficiently go about their work. Mules are designed to carry just about every tool that a sprint car team needs to use on a race night, and more. The rear toolbox drawers lock so that they don't slide open when the mule is driven around. And in these drawers are your standard tools like wrenches, sockets, hex keys, pliers, impact guns and drills, all that normal toolbox stuff. Then there are tools that are more specific to motorsport or purposely made for sprint car racing. They are an alloy jack, wheel wrench, setup blocks, an engine blanket, oil tray, a grooving iron and siping tool, stagger tapes, tire gauge, and an air reading device so that the teams can adjust the fuel for the engine properly. It's important to remember that this isn't used only during the race nights, but during washing and maintenance too. So when teams are washing up, they'll need the mule to house tools like injection plugs and magneto covers, and if they want to test and tune the engine valves, they'll need tools for all of that as well. It's something that Jai speaks about later, but depending on how much a team races and where they race, dictates what they will want their mule to carry. For example, if you want, your mule could carry a generator, a compressor, and an air reel. But how many times are you going to need that? Or could just a portable air tank do the job. Let's talk parts. When I say spare parts, some are to replace others because of damage, but most of the time parts are changed to tune the car setup. For example, a mule carries spare radius rods, a front end, nose wing, Jacob's ladders, mud wheel covers, nuts and bolts, even wheels, tires, and top wings can be strapped down on top. Almost always, that stuff is only used if something goes wrong. Beyond that, the mule can also carry parts that are just for setup adjustments. Parts like a bunch of shocks will usually be in a couple of cupboards, torsion bars, wheel spacers, fueling pills, a selection of gear sets, all that sort of stuff. Apart from tools and spare parts, there's a big list of consumables that mules are stocked up with as well. Methanol fuel churns need to be there, ready to go, along with a funnel, extra oils like gear or engine oil, maybe even some coolant, brake and power steering fluid, sprays like WD-40, brake cleaner, carby cleaner, air filter oil, some sort of mud loosening spray, greases to lube torsion bars or the torque ball housing, even towels and rags, zip ties, and spare tear-offs for the driver's helmet. Come to think of it, the mules are loaded up with a lot of stuff. Apart from the cost of the actual mule and the conversion, at any one time, these things could be packed with tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff at the racetrack. Like I said earlier, they are a necessity, a vital part of any sprint car racing team now. There is a lot of customization that gets done to the vehicle to make it so useful to race teams, meaning they look almost unrecognizable from their original version, which is being built as an agricultural utility vehicle. Luckily for us, Australia's premier mule manufacturer, Elevate Race Bodies, is based out of Warrnambool in Victoria, and they showed us around their workshop. As I said earlier, there's a few different mule manufacturers, and not every mule is made or laid out the same. Just like our Inside Sprint Car Trailers video, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. So before you see how mules are made, which is my favorite part, you have to understand that functionality is their first priority. As Jai explains, those specifics are what makes the Elevate Mules different and is the reason why they are built the way they are.
I spent my time in Speedway, so sprint cars was essentially where I got the knowledge for the mules. Mules was really a passion really early. Being a racer myself, started with a quad bike and then went to a old model mule and then a second-hand mule from the wreckers, and then we basically just built up. We spent probably a few months developing the first prototype mule, I guess, that was available to sell to the market. And ever since then, it's just been a focus on high quality and usability. So especially for mules, a big factor is usability for the teams and their transporters. The size of it, the functionality of fitting inside the trucks, that's a big one. You've got clearances of mezzanine heights, what goes in the back, what people want to put in there as far as fuels, tools, shocks, torsion bars, radius rods, all that sort of stuff. For those who know or don't know, you've got HRP in America, which is huge. They predominantly focus on the bigger size mules, so it's a different model Kawasaki than this. We've got over 30 of these in Australia at the moment. Majority of leading teams have our mules, McFadden's, Dyson's, those guys. We're very proud to say that people trust our products.
The Elevate Mules are perfect for the Australian market, and Jai didn't hide any secrets when he took us from the design to the finished product. Check it out.
The mule will essentially come to us as a ATV from Kawasaki. So it'll come in a crate, boxed up. It will have the roll bars on it. It'll have a tray on the back, which is a tipper tray, because essentially this Kawasaki product is designed for farming. So it's a side-by-side for agricultural use, basically. First things first, there's a secondary roll bar here. That comes off and goes. The tub, the whole assembly with subframe and everything, that comes off and goes. Take the original tyres and wheels off. They go as well. Then we'll pull our plastic works off it, send this straight to the painters and get it colour-coded to whatever the order is. It's got a roof on there as well, a plastic roof. We basically bin half the mule when it gets here. We'll take the suspension out as well. We upgrade the coils and then we get started on the build. The process will start in here. So this will come up, this is a DXF file just on an AutoCAD program. And then we'll upload it to our cutting software to get sent out to the CNC router. So we'll nest all the parts on there and It'll basically take this file and send it out to the router and cut it out and start the process. Everything standard goes, and then we build our own subframe with our own mounts to suit the factory mounting on the Kawasaki. So it's ready to go. Everything else in the build is completely aluminium, so all sheet metal. The only steel is our RHS subframe for strength. So that'll come off the rack, onto the saw. The guys have got a checklist and they've got drawings to cut it up, and we've got jigs. They'll then go weld it out, clean it up, drill the necessary holes, get it ready for powder coat, and yeah, send it off with the rest of the kit. So here's the sheet metal side of things. So this is essentially 99% of the mule build. Whatever thickness you need, you'll grab that off the rack and then bring it over here to the router table. The files that we've already done in the office get sent to out here, and this is the program for actually cutting the parts out. We'll hit cut on that. That'll take probably 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll clean the parts up and send it to the press. So here's a CNC press brake, which is essentially a sheet metal folder. For example, we have a radius rod rack. So this is a sheet metal part. That's how it will come straight off the router. This will get cleaned up, uploaded on the computer, and ready for folding. So that's a mule radius rod rack, ready to be prepped up, powder coated, put on the mule. We've got all the componentry done, powder coated. So we'll wire up our reverse camera, also spotlights at the front. We've got a rear light in the back, tail lights and brake lights. So we'll get all that set up, terminated, ready to go for when the body goes on. So we utilize all factory mountings, and everything factory is still there. So there's no issues with warranty as far as the Kawasaki product goes. Start with our floor sheet, sit the body on once it's built, and then we'll go roof on, terminate our wiring. We'll put all our accessories on, ladder. These are all optional accessories by the customer. So ladder, we've got front end racks, front wing racks, things like that. All this is standard that you'll see in here. So we've got 8 shock provision. That's all standard with our mules. These are a couple of accessories. We've got a mud cover rack there. We've got a Jacobs ladder holder there. BAC is an Australian made company who do the best boxes in the market. So we run these, whether it be mules, transporters, anything. Our top few drawers, we fit them out with all these little divider bins. These are just all empty drawers, but we provide a big bundle of dividers so the customer can go ahead and divide them up for all their tools, spanners, whatever. Any spare parts can go in there as well. We've got some bracketry in here that's also optional extra with our mules. So this piece here holds all the drivers' tear off. So you see, the drivers rip the tear off during the races and fly it to the crowd. So they come in big long packets, and they want to store them safely because they're just in a cardboard box and they get bent and kicked around. These are just oil and aerosol can racks. So your greases, sprays, that sort of stuff. This here is a little bracket for your setup blocks. So they're the small little blocks that the crews will set ride heights on the sprint car. And here you've got your tyre gauge, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Once again, another 4-tier shock rack in that one, so 4 each side, 8 in total. And this here, we've got torsion bars. Here is a radius rod rack, so they just pin in, and we've got C-clips on the other end, so it doesn't matter what length rods teams have or what brand car or whatever it may be. That's a multi-fit rack that'll fit a whole car worth of spares. Once again, a quick release item that needs to be ready to get at any time and easy to get. You're not cutting zip ties or mucking around doing anything like that. So here we utilize our factory seat mounting points with a wheel wrench holder. So once again, quick release, just slips straight in, comes to a stop, flick it up, and this C-clip grabs it. Up here, we've got the roof with 3 lengths of grip tape on the roof. So tires obviously won't slip around. And we've got 6 tie down points there, run the straps on them. This is a spare front end rack that people can opt for. Once again, front end on, straight out. Teams can switch a front end on the infield in like a minute to 1 to 2 minutes, easy. So that's quick release. Front wing goes there, so that will slip in with a bungee cord, same deal. If you're doing a front end, typically you've donged the front end, the front wing as well. So you can rip these 2 items out, get them both done within a matter of minutes. all housed on your mule, out of the way, not affecting anything. This obviously just pushes the car around the pits, wherever. Another factory part that gets utilised by the teams is this front compartment here. So that's just, quick, big compartment here. Teams will typically store either an aluminium air tank or engine blanket in there. So typically aluminium air tank in here, engine blanket will go in the body. This is also another reason why we do stick with the Kawasaki product, is because of their sizing and usability of this front area just really works for the sprint car industry.
I hope you all enjoyed this insight. Let me know what you thought by leaving a comment on this video. On top of that, head to our socials if you want to connect and chat more. But what I'd really love you to do is make sure you've clicked subscribe down below, and also grab your gear just like this hat and this shirt over on sprintcarhub.com.